jam.
Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I look over my shoulder, I'm all scared. I got my timer here on my cellular telephone, my segment timer, because I'm a talker and I can go over. When I first started the show, I was so worried. Like, how am I going to fill 45 minutes or 44 minutes or whatever of content? How am I going to talk that long? Now my problem is keeping it under 50 minutes. My boss sent me a sheet. Said, you've got 43 or whatever, 44 minutes to work with. That's all you got in an hour. Okay. So now I struggle to keep it under 50. Anyways, I'm Johnny Hamburger. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm going to briefly continue the train I started pushing down the tracks in the last segment of policy. Not necessarily politics, but some policy that affects geeks in some way. Not even just geeks. This even spills out into even more broad consumerism. We consumers. Okay, I'm just going to get to it. First things first, vaping in more and more cities is becoming illegal. Well, it's not illegal technically. It's just being banned. Any place that smoking is banned, vaping is banned. So, in restaurants, for instance, public, gathering places indoors, if you can't smoke cigarettes in there, you also can't vape, which I agree with 150,000 million bajillion %. I have a vape that I suckle upon occasionally. I'm not proud of it. And like I said before, I seriously doubt I'm going to take on any vape shops as sponsors because as far as I'm concerned, the jury is still out. Vaping hasn't been around for a long enough time to collect a reliable amount of data as to how good or bad it is for you. Let me restate that. It is definitely bad for you. There's no way inhaling anything other than natural atmosphere into your lungs is good for you. Is vaping as bad for your cigarettes? Probably not. Probably not even in the same universe of degradation to your health. But the only way we're going to be able to tell that is if let's say someone's been vaping for 20 years and they die, let's remove their lung, see what a vaping lung looks like next to a smoker's lung. And then how do you equivalate? How do you quantify how much vaping equals the same amount of smoking? Volume breathing in, length of time spent vaping or smoking? I don't know. All I'm saying is the jury's out as far as a reliable set of data, of information to dictate whether or not vaping is good for you or not. Again, it's not good for you. There's no way it's good for you. Technically, just being alive isn't good for you. I mean, we're all going to die. So, being alive isn't good for you. Oxygen causes rust. We breathe in oxygen all the time. That's why our skin cells are red. It's because of oxygen and iron mixing. Whatever. Iron carries the oxygen around our bloodstream to the organs that need it. Now you know what iron's for in your blood. So iron deficiencies that's what happens. I would imagine an iron deficiency makes you very lethargic, might make you sore. I'm not a doctor. I'm just I'm extrapolating from my brain. I'm deducing what iron deficiency could cause. And it probably makes you tired. If you're not getting if you don't have enough iron in your blood to transfer oxygen around your body into your brain and such, then you're probably going to feel pretty lethargic. I didn't look that up. I'm just guessing, but I'm assuming that that's in the ballpark of correctness. And there I went geeking out for a couple minutes on iron deficiency. So back to what I started out this segment with. Policy that affects us geeks, but not only us geeks, but us kind of broad civilians and consumers. There's an interesting case that has been brought up, and that is, oh my goodness, I forgot the agency that brought it up. Let me look it up here real quick. basically what it is Prager U is suing YouTube. Prager U provides content for YouTube, conservative content on YouTube, politically conservative. So Prager U sues YouTube, saying it censors their conservative video. And Prager U is arguing that this is an affront to their right of free speech. It infringes upon their First Amendment right of free speech. Now, I'm going to be an awesome radio show host, a diligent radio show host, and read for you all what the First Amendment actually says. And then I'll give you my opinion on how it pertains to this particular case. Okay. The Constitution of the United States of America, 1789. Amendment 1, aka the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Basically, what's that saying is the government cannot infringe upon your freedom of speech. We all know this. All you hear on TV and radio is Trump this, Trump that, Obama this, Obama that, Pelosi this, Pelosi that. We are free, and God bless us for being free to be able to rake our leaders. Leader is not a very good term to use there. Our elected officials. We are the ones who are supposed to be leading our elected officials. That's why we elect them. Anyways, God bless us for living in a country where we can rake our elected officials all the way up to the president, the commander-in-chief. We can rake them over the coals with zero fear of being punished for it. Zero fear of going to jail for it. Zero fear of being executed for it. You can be gay in this country and not be executed by the government. You can be Muslim in this country and not be executed by your government for it in this country. I'm not going to open that can of worms. Anyways, in the United States of America, U.S. citizens have freedom of speech from the government. The government cannot infringe upon our freedom of speech. So, back to Prager U, who makes conservative videos and is suing YouTube for infringing on its freedom of speech, saying that YouTube censors their conservative videos. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why this is a non-case. It might get drawn out in some way because there's a lot of money being thrown around, but really it's not a case because guess what? Effectively, YouTube is a private citizen. YouTube is a private entity with all the rights granted to it that one citizen would have. That's one reason why there's such a rub in this country about how much freedom does a corporation have. And really right now as it stands, I believe, is a corporation is essentially one citizen. It has the rights and advantages and freedoms of that any citizen does. So anyways, legally speaking, YouTube can shut down Prager U. YouTube can say, okay, you just can't upload any more videos ever because they have the private right as a private citizen to tell an uploader, to tell one of their community members, no, we're not going to let you say that on our platform. We reserve the right to, yes, censor what we do allow our platform to be used for. In the same way, YouTube is not going to allow someone to post horrific videos, post videos of them murdering somebody, or post outright blatant hate speech. YouTube reserves that right to ban such material from its servers. In the exact same way that you reserve the right to ban your neighbor from coming into your house and giving your wife the middle finger. You are a private citizen. You are able to censor what goes in and out of your private property. You are able to censor what people do in your home. That's your private right. So that's what YouTube is doing. Do I agree morally that YouTube should censor material? Yes and no. I do think that Prager U has every right to load their conservative ideas to YouTube, and that's great that they do. We need two sides. In arguments in this country, we need two sides. Both sides need to be heard in a respectable way. Of course, absolutely. They have every right to do that. So if YouTube is being a jerk and censoring, conservative videos from raising in the ranks as opposed to more liberally biased videos, boo on YouTube. I disagree with that. Everyone should have equal platform to say what they want respectably on YouTube. On the same note, I fully agree with YouTube that they have every right as a private entity to censor what does and does not go on their site. So that's basically it. Do I agree with YouTube for censoring things? No. Do I support their right to do it? Sure. That doesn't mean that I agree with censorship or that I like censorship. But YouTube is its own private person, effectively. They can censor whatever they want. They have the legal right to do that. People throw around this idea. They'll yell at other citizens, "You are infringing upon my right to free speech." No. Free speech, the First Amendment just grants you freedom from the government infringing on your free speech, not a private person. If you went up to a private citizen and said something that other citizen didn't like, you, within all legal ramifications, deserve to have the repercussions. If you go into your job saying the N-word, spouting off the N-word, and you get fired for it, you cannot say that your business infringed upon your right to free speech, because your business, your job, your boss has every right to fire you for being a racist idiot. Every right. Just like you have every right, if you're a white person, you have every right to kick a black person out of your home if you want, because it's your private home. That makes you an idiot. And can I say this on the radio? That makes you a dick. This show airs after the watershed, so I think I can say that. That makes you a bad person. That makes you a rotten, horrible person to your core. But you do have the right to kick whoever you want out of your own house. You do not have the right. Well, actually, you do have the right to go into your place of work saying the N-word, and your employer has every right, and rightfully so, and ethically so, to kick your butt to the curb for being a racist douchebag. The government cannot censor that speech. The government cannot keep you from being a racist douchebag. But the rest of free society, the rest of the civilized world, can chastise you and make sure you never work again because of your views, your very outspoken views. So that's what I want to say on that. Was that geek therapy? Kind of. It felt good to get that off my chest. So next time you hear someone arguing to another citizen or in a picket line or something, "You're infringing upon my free speech." No, you're not. A private citizen cannot infringe upon another private citizen's right to free speech. Only the government can infringe on free speech. You are only protected from the government censoring what you say. That's it. More Geek Therapy radio to come. We're going to get to some actual geek topics coming up. For one thing, you can use your GameCube controllers now with the Switch. Nintendo Switch. The Super Mario Odyssey came out this week for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm super stoked about that. The supersonic car makes its first public test. This car is trying to reach 1,000 miles per hour, so we're going to talk about that. So more actual geeky stuff. Gravitational waves, am I talking about that? More geeky stuff coming up. I just need to get those few things off my chest this week. Take a deep breath. It feels good. Feels good. I'm Johnny Hamburger. We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. Don't go anywhere. Stick around while we're in this break, even if it's a quick break, while you're listening on the podcast or on YouTube. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. And like I said, Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. If you're already watching on YouTube right now, then just click that subscribe button. We'll be right back. Johnny Hamburger. More Geek Therapy Radio right after this.